metaENGINE is the first cloud-based gaming engine that is going to unlock the possibility of having a true metaverse for video games. Imagine buying or creating a skin, a weapon, or an avatar that could be used across hundreds of games that you are interested in playing. Like me, you may have heard of other people talk about this or theorize how it could happen, but with metaENGINE, it is going to come true. Balthazar and metaENGINE just partnered together recently, and I got to sit down with the co-founder Alex Shalash and talk about how metaENGINE is going to change the future of blockchain and NFT gaming. Hope you enjoy this incredible interview. Welcome, Alex from metaENGINE. Thank you so much for being here today with me. I would love to just hear your thoughts here about what metaENGINE is. Tell us a little bit about the project for those that maybe have never even heard of metaENGINE. What are you guys trying to do and accomplish?
Yeah, thank you, Luke, for having us and for this invitation. Really looking forward to our call here. metaENGINE. We are a Gamefi Metaverse infrastructure company. So what we provide is a set of tools which are united in one platform that allow game developers to jump in and just develop any kind of gaming metaverse-like experiences that they can dream of, right? One of the core differences between our engine and many engines out there, which are our great competitors like Unreal and Unity, is our focus that comes from the original technology that I was involved in called Hero Engine, where that technology is the only platform today on the market that allows to build massively multiplayer online games. And metaENGINE inherits that core set of features, and on top of it provides a different connection to different types of blockchain-related technologies, whether it is NFT marketplaces or it is crypto-based payments or blockchain security. Any one of those features that some of them we will develop ourselves, but majority we're actually looking to connect and bring in partners that we can integrate with, so we can provide best-of-breed type of service for the developers.
Awesome to hear. I love that idea. And I'm curious, what kind of level is this engine? Right now in a lot of these play-to-earn games, NFT games built on blockchains, we're seeing a lot of pixel art or idle games just because they don't have the tools, right? So with metaENGINE, are we going to see some of these bigger AAA styles of games? Is that going to be possible with your engine?
Sure. So our underlying technology was used to build games like Star Wars: The Old Republic by Electronic Arts, for example, or the Elder Scrolls Online game by ZeniMax that is currently owned by Microsoft. So one can go as wild as one wants to build a beautiful role-play game type of experience with open worlds, with mass participations of millions of players. Or one can build a smaller game which will be just based on a sandbox-like environment with a limited number of players. The good thing is when developers come onto our platform, they are not limited in terms of the number of users they can bring in at the later stage. And then we also have some unique features that we hopefully can discuss later on that differentiates our offering from the others. But if you want to build a pixelated type of game, like Minecraft type style game, it's possible to do. You want to build a total cartoonish game, totally fine. You can build a GTA-like game, also possible. So a Fortnite-like game, right? So there is really, because it's a professional grade set of tools, you can. It's your imagination. It usually is a limitation that you have as far as the content development.
Yeah, I love that. I think that for me as a gamer, that excites me, right? I want to play some games that are a little more developed, a little more polished than maybe what we're seeing now. And do you guys see this at metaENGINE being maybe a key that unlocks? I think we've seen a lot of gamers just say, I don't want to play NFT games, play to earn games. They kind of look boring. They look like scams. Do you think this is going to help get some of that mainstream adoption across the board for gamers?
Oh, yes, definitely. That's our mission, basically. Our mission is really to bring not only the set of tools, but to facilitate the development of many of the traditional looking like games with certain blockchain functionalities built into them that would allow and would be interesting for traditional game developers, for those 2.5, 3 billion people that are out there enjoying gaming, traditional gaming experiences, to join in the more of a play to earn. But I think there is, as you mentioned, not many. It's not only the kind of, call it, lack of that repeatability and the excitement that you get from many of the games on the Gamefi side. It's also there is some skepticism, like it is across the board, towards crypto in general, right? And on the gaming side, what do gamers read, right? They read that the latest the hack that happened with Axie's game, or any other types of games that are that experience some of those problems, and they look at it and say, you know what, it looks like there is just too much risk for me to get involved in. Then there are potential regulatory issues, right? Because if you are doing a game and you're doing this broad worldwide distribution, you have to take too many of the regulatory requirements into consideration. So, and then at the end of the day, you as a gamer, you understand you are not playing games because you get paid for it, right? Mm-hmm. You pay because you're enjoying doing this. And if you manage through that to acquire some loot or to create better value for the NFTs that you own, then you're all for it, but that's not the real purpose behind. And I think that we'll probably have to change a little bit the definition of play to earn, more like play and earn. Mm-hmm. So you're not really forced into this by becoming by just getting into that routine just to be paid, but actually enjoying the experiences and creating some value on the side.
Yeah, and I would assume with an engine like metaENGINE, we'll see those games where it's more about actually enjoying the game rather than, hey, how much money can I earn, or how can I flip this NFT for a quick buck? And so I'm really excited to finally get to play some good games that we can enjoy, whether the token is high or low at the moment. It shouldn't matter. It should be a fun game.
You exactly hit this in the right spot. So we are looking at current environment, and we are in a transition phase today. So as you know, Unity, Unreal, and our technology are going to be used more and more, and majority of the new projects are already using professional grade tools to develop those. So we'll move away from some of the, call it, web-based or pixelated type of games, or more simple adoption of older games, right, that we had before. We're going to move more into the traditional space. That so far, why gaming community, we also believe that hasn't really embraced, is that when you look at Gamefi, it's we kind of have a bit of an internal joke. There is little game and a lot of fi, a lot of focus on the financial side of it and the use of tokens and, as you say, trading, NFTs and the rest, and not a lot of that attractive game experience. So that's, I think, was the use of all the traditional gaming technologies to develop those, you will see a lot more adoption as well.
Yeah, I love that. Walk me through a little bit about, is there going to be interoperability on your platform between some of these games? I think that's one of the other struggles we've seen, right? We've have all this talk about the metaverse and being able to go from game to game. And right now it's a mess to just try from, I'm playing one game, I want to go try this other, I have to go set up a wallet, set up a whole different blockchain, all these resources. Is this going to be possible with something like metaENGINE to have that interoperability?
Yes, that's what we are if let's take a step back, right? When you look at the what is metaverse by many definitions, and many people are looking at it, how to put all these great ideas, what does this mean, and how to actually define this relatively major transition that we are at the really early days of that. We see metaverse, and I'm going to talk only from the gaming point of view. We see that as basically a collection of connected, interoperable MMO RPG type of experiences, that are underpinned by digital asset ownership and security of crypto transactions. So when we look at it from just that point of view, right? What this means is that we, for example, with our technology today, we our engine is actually the underlying technology is the only one on the market that is built to create MMO-like experiences. The other engines, like let's say take Unity, it's a great engine to build smaller mobile games. Perfect engine to do that. With metaENGINE, you can have both in terms of space. You can build planet-scale environments with millions of participants at the same time. So with Unreal, you can build beautiful, photorealistic environments, and we've seen Unreal 5, amazing technology out there. We'll continue to strive to catch up with them. Probably never will, because it's just they are real pioneers in many of this. But on the other hand, it's extremely difficult to have those high resolution, high fidelity environments when you bring in even 100 people on the same screen, right? Or if you're talking about millions of participants, you have to bring that down because there is that balancing act you have to go through, and that's basically why our technology we provide. It might not look as great, right, as Unreal's photorealism, but you can achieve a lot if you know how to work with 3D art and textures and so on. So there is quite a lot of possibilities that are there to build that.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that idea, and hopefully that metaverse Web3 idea can actually be achieved with gaming. I think that would be really exciting to see what the future of that could look like.
Right. So just to add a little bit on that asset interoperability that you were talking about. So what we are looking at today is because of the way our product or platform is structured, right? We have already a fully integrated rendering engine that you can create those 3D environments. We have networking that enables you to communicate with those millions of other players. We have server and database, everything that allows you to jump in, and from day number one, even when you are developing that environment, you can, as soon as you register and you got delivered that access to your world, everything is based in the cloud. And that is when that asset interoperability starts. Basically, what we are looking to provide to developers is an opportunity to interact a lot more with NFT owners or content creators. Like, for example, if you have developed a bunch of avatars and a bunch of guns and swords and so on, by bringing those onto the platform, then game developers themselves, if you as an asset owner would like to participate in those games, they'll be able to pick your assets and use them in different games, which will mean that the value of your underlying NFT hopefully is going to increase as well, because you create more use cases for where that NFT can be used. On the other hand, if you look at the traditional approach, if you bought a skin in a specific game, when that game goes offline, the value of your investment goes down to zero. Same goes for many of the earlier Gamefi crypto games. If Axis tomorrow goes offline, the value of that investment also will go down to zero, unless there is that extra use case for the use of your NFTs. What we are looking to create is to detach that dependency, right? And to create, we believe that the future value, a lot of that is going to move away from publishers into the gamers and asset owners' wallets, right? So when you are grinding in any one of those games and you are improving your character, you're moving up the levels, you're acquiring some loot, you're creating value basically there, right? So your capability or ability even for you to be able to sell that account if you want to move on and do something else is a bit of an alien thing, or in many cases frowned upon, right, by traditional gaming publishers. In the digital asset world, it should be totally possible. Why not, right? So that's where we believe we'll see a big shift. So also creators can come in, and if you are great at creating certain types of assets, and those assets are used in many games, you should be paid for it as well. So there is that. I think we're looking at a much more improved or even different economy that is going to be created around that interoperability idea.
Yeah, that's really exciting for gamers, especially as you said, that we can own our assets, we can create assets and get actual value out of that. I'm curious to hear from you though, as you've worked with developers, do you hear developers push back on that? Is there this, we don't want that from gamers, we want to have all the assets and IP to ourselves? What's been the response from game developers that you've been trying to work with?
So there are traditional game developers that I used to work with more captive audience and to keep a lot of that value in house, obviously, and it will take time. But I think the adoption on their side is going to happen. The more people will start playing on the side of the actual asset owners side. Because they need a big market, right? Because these guys are working with hundreds of millions of dollars of budgets. For them to allocate to a much smaller potential audience probably will not make economic sense. Or if there are lots of players are going to migrate to some of the greater games that are being developed on the GameFi side. On the GameFi side, the mentality is exactly the opposite. So many GameFi projects are actually excited to share some of the assets with others as well, because they look at it from the point of view of potential distribution for potential market and reach that they can have. So instead of, let's say, there are two games, each one of them has 100 players, and they're in totally two different genres. So there is very little overlap. If you were to put those two together, you have 200 players in total, and potentially you might end up between 125 and 150 players in each one of those games, just because you are addressing the same market. And maybe, again, them themselves would want from time to time to have a different experience. So we see that as we always are looking to explore, right, as gamers as well. We want new experiences. We're looking to kind of this explorer mentality is there, exploring new features. If something is just as repetitive as it is, at some point, unless there is another hook or a magnet within that game, you probably lose interest in that. So we believe that there will be this kind of the trend is moving in the way, like you are saying, you want as a gamer, if you invested like some people in the 90s and the early 2000s in their World of Warcraft account, $20, $30, $50,000, you maybe want to see a little bit of a possibility of somehow, get something back from that huge investment of time and effort and sleepless nights or long weekends. So anyway, so these are just the possibilities are there. The good thing is that tech is ready to support them. We just need to go through a couple of the exercises on our side to integrate those blockchain features to enable easier way for developers to integrate them. So developers don't have to do it themselves. That's kind of our motto. Provide all the tech needed, integrate it all, and then developers can focus on 100% of their attention on the content, because that's what is going to drive the next big audiences.
Yeah, and I think if I'm understanding you right, eventually it should make sense for developers to want to be in the space because, as you said, it's going to create longevity for what they're creating. Maybe not with their game. Maybe their game, eventually players don't want to play anymore and it dies off. But hey, all those IP, all those assets of the sword or whatever you made is now being used in another game, and they're still trading, buying, selling those, and you're still making fees off of those, right? So you can actually create assets that might be used forever, just not in the original game that you use. Am I understanding that right?
Yes, it will be this cross-pollination, right? The developers themselves that created assets, those assets can be used in other games if that's the kind of the agreements that different developers want to engage in. Creators will be, you don't need to be a game developer, right? You can be just a great 3D asset and animator and still bring those assets into the metaverse so that the others can both buy them and then use them for different experiences.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I love this new technology. I love what you guys are building and what's coming
Thank
up.
you.
I want to hear lastly a little bit, what's the partnership here with Balthazar? What are you guys excited about? What is the deal with you and me here meeting together here today and Balthazar and metaENGINE trying to work together?
Yeah, so one thing that we really like with Balthazar is the fact that we ourselves, coming from a traditional gaming side, and you guys also have on the Balthazar side a couple of really well-known individuals coming from the traditional gaming side. This big transition that is happening, it's not going to be built by one company. We see our mission is really building partnerships and creating ecosystems that will support everything from that first day when game developers get their hands on tools and start thinking of how to design that game, what are the best, all the way through the different stages of development involving different people. I believe that the game development itself is going to be much less of a black box. Just leave me for my 3 to 5 years and I'll deliver a great game. It will be a much more interactive process. So, for example, our technology, what it allows you to do is, while we can bring multiple developers in the same environment for them to collaborate like you would in a Google Doc, right? Many people writing on the same document. Here, imagine blowing that up to full 3D environments of huge scale, where you can be doing roads, I can be landscaping, somebody else dropping buildings, somebody else also animating doors in those buildings and doing many, many other things at the same time. And that's all happening on the cloud. And we all can see this. We can also start at different points of that development, start bringing in players, providing them with an opportunity to contribute or those people that have bought the tokens of the game or bought the NFTs themselves, they can participate. And I think the experience that Balthazar brings with a number of people that are professional gamers that love that involvement at much earlier stages can help to create much better content at the end of the day. Because as I mentioned, through the early days of us. After we did our fundraise and we went out to the market, started talking to many Gamefi projects, we realized that there is a relative lack of game development talent directly involved in some of these projects, at least at this stage. So they are all looking for somebody else to build the game for them because now they raise some money. But that's there should be more passion and more involvement on that, and that's where I think our collaboration with you guys is going to push that. At the end of the day, what do we want? We want great content. We want amazing games to be on the market and be available to the players.
Yeah, no, and that's what we love here at Balthazar is, I'm part of trying to create these videos for these research projects, and we're all about trying to find what are those actual good games. What are those, get rid of the scams, get rid of those games that maybe are, not up to par, and let's focus on highlighting what's out there that's actually good, that's playable, and has a good economy, ecosystem, all those things to it, which is what we love to dig into. And I think we're just really excited for MetaENGINE because I think those are the types of games we want to see more and more. And I'm assuming those tools, we're going to see a lot more of those games. Speaking of which, I'm curious, when do you see the first games coming out using MetaENGINE launching here? Is this soon? Is this far away? Do you have any idea on some of this timeline?
Yeah, so as you and the audience probably knows, developing good games takes time. So we'll probably be, we are looking, depending on the scale, obviously, and some of the smaller experiences might be done in 6 months, but they will definitely be very limited in scale. Building out beautiful environments with lots of interactions, lots of functionality will probably take at least a year to do. And so where we see your participation as well, hopefully, is that we can. So you see that the kind of game development cycle, right? You have the actual development happening, and if you guys, obviously, the Gamefi developers themselves would have to want to have that participation, but participation that we can bring of Balthazar at much earlier stages within that process can also help to reshape some of those experiences for those experiences to be more attractive, right, to gamers when those games really go live big time. So to go back to the question, I think we are not looking for earlier than 12 months for anything that is really of a real importance to come to the market. But within depending again on the project, some of these projects might want to decide to bring in their own communities after 2-3 months of just developing a prototype and just letting 100 people at a time to walk around the environment and kick around the doors and see what's behind, right?
Yeah, and I think that's, a really cool idea is you can get the alpha, you can get the beta testing, but as you said, a lot of games take really good amount of time for them to actually create a good game, which I think is part of the reason we haven't seen so many good games yet in this blockchain space, is because we just haven't had the time to really give these games that are trying to develop. It's all these ones that are trying to rush out in months or create something very simple. So yeah, I think if we all just have a little bit more patience, hopefully moving forward, we can see what we all want to see in this space in another year to 2 years, as you're saying.
Right. So we see that, obviously blockchain world moves faster. Everybody says a month in blockchain world is like a year in the traditional, even more. And there is that, I think, because many of the projects, although if you look at fundamental protocols and all the projects that tackling some real fundamental issues on the blockchain side, they do take long. Some of them have been in development since 2017, 18, and they are not even fully live yet, right? So it's that patience that one needs to bring in, and that's also maybe the functions like what you're asking before. Why the quality of the early Gamefi games is relatively simplistic is that because there was a lot of pressure to deliver some experience, right? So the more fundamental approach, the more professional tools that are going to be brought in, the better the experiences will be.
Awesome. Well, Alex, I really appreciate our discussion here. I appreciate what metaENGINE is doing, and I'm excited for our partnership. Is there any place that people can follow along with metaENGINE to see what you guys are doing, or maybe want to connect with you as a developer?
Right. So the best place to do is to go on our website, metaengine.gg, and to get in contact. There is a contact form there at the bottom, because what we like is actually to speak with projects ahead. We prefer to provide the right technology to the type of game that you want to build. We do not encourage just go and get any engine and just start building, because we have seen too many projects maybe having a larger ambition because of the choice of the technology, basically putting limits on what they can build. So the best thing to do is to contact us directly and get on the phone, get on a video call, get a demo, and have that discussion. It doesn't have to be long, but I'm pretty sure a majority of Gamefi developers will find that useful and educational, and it will help them in their decision-making process. And it's not going to be a sales pitch. It's going to be more of a discussion. Are we a good fit for what you're trying to build?
Great. Well, thanks for being here today. Good luck to you and your team moving forward. I'm sure we'll keep track and maybe talk again here sometime in the future, but appreciate you taking the time and excited to see what happens with metaENGINE. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. A really exciting talk. Thank you for your questions. Really interesting conversation we had. And yeah, I would love for us to keep on having kind of regular updates. I'm sure we'll be bringing more news about new projects, new IP that is going to be built on our technology. So really looking forward to that.
Of course, yeah. Looking forward to that as well. Thanks for being here, Alex. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you, Luke.
Well, I hope this gave you the insight into how Alex and the team have a vision for improving this NFT gaming industry as a whole over these next couple of years. Also, if you're enjoying these long-form interviews with different top leaders of the NFT gaming industry, these will now be posted on our podcast platforms at Balthazar NFT Gaming, including Anchor, Apple, and more. So feel free to listen to them while you drive around, mow your lawn, or maybe play your favorite NFT game. For more content about the NFT gaming industry, stay tuned for another video, or head on over to Balthazar's website where you can find research reports, information about our upcoming public token sale, and much more. For now, take care everyone, peace out, Palam, adios.